Is us low live? Are we up? Are we up? It's working on it. It's working on it. Let's see here. Come on. There you go. Now we're gold. Welcome. Now people are jumping on. What's going on, Misty? Hello, LA Key. Fantastic. Lovely. Greg Gold Coast, you're sliding a little bit, buddy. They're getting ahead of you on the list. But good to see you in Australia, my man. Ashley Marie, welcome. Christine from Rochester, New York. What's going on? LA Key, the mother of patriots, mother of all patriots. All right. Welcome. Hilda from New Jersey. Rachel, welcome. Dr. Stacy, I saw you there. Give me any first timers. First timers, anybody? First timers. What do you got out there? Melbourne, Australia. Todd, welcome. Excellent. How are you? How are you? Welcome to see you. Rebecca, North Carolina. Eric in Michigan. What is happening? Oklahoma. Fantastic. Excellent. Melina, everyone's gonna yell at. You have the right to yell at Dominic tonight. I was ready to give you the protocols at this moment, and it's ready, and something slightly broke, so he's fixing. So I will either have that at the end of tonight or first thing tomorrow. Don't yell at me, yell at him. You can even put on here, Dominic, what did you do? What did you break? Okay? So, the shirt, I'll tell you in a second on the shirt, okay? I love this. Is a beautiful shirt. Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome, Linda from South Carolina. Lindy from Michigan. Where is Hunter? That's a good question. Jan, new fan. Hello from Florida, Jan. Welcome to the show. I appreciate it. Kathy, welcome. Let's see. What did you do, Dominic? Dr. Gene Weber from Yakima, Washington. Yakima, right? Washington, correct? Yeah. Excellent. I have some people asking me for people in Yakima, Washington. I got to get them over to you guys. Excellent. Fran from Dade City, Florida. Hello. What's going on? Let's see. Hi, April from Minnesota. Welcome there. What's going on to you? Lisa from Wisconsin. Hello, Brittany. Excellent. Nevada. Tam Jam. Welcome, Nevada. First timer, Freedom Rings 59. Welcome to the show. Thank you. I'm glad I just saw you there. Thank you. Georgia Girl, I see you. Hull, Massachusetts. Laura, welcome. Excellent. Keith, yes. Awesome. Fantastic. Amy, Wisconsin. Excellent. All right, so this is what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to attempt to do this because I always say I'm not going to go long, but it probably will. It's very video heavy tonight. Video heavy because there's just clips I need to show you. But on top of that, I would like to go Noble Patriot after dark tonight, if you're okay with that. But I'm going to warn you. If I do that, I want to show you something tonight, only on Noble Patriot after dark. Not going to do it on here. It's too graphic in a way. Not bad graphic as in like nothing lewd or, anything like that. It's more of the Great Awakening and how deep the Great Awakening really potentially goes. And some people will not like it put on this show. And I don't want kids seeing it either. So just because of from its graphic standpoint. So it will be on After Dark. So let me try to get to that tonight as fast as I can, and I'll do health questions as well, and we'll go from there, okay? And we'll just have some fun. How does that sound? So first of all, welcome, Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And I have to say a thank you out there, but also an apology. I got 2 shirts in the mail, which I very much appreciate. And one was from a, I believe, small business owner. The card got misplaced in my office because I left it out on my desk, and then the cleaning lady, I think, moved it over the weekend. And so I have a thank you. I just don't know who the thank yous to. There's 2 shirts that I got that way. This is one of them. So if you If this is your shirt, please claim it in my messenger box so that I can give you a proper thank you, because it's a freaking awesome shirt. I'm not gonna lie, like I like this one. This is pretty sweet. All my shirts I love, but this is pretty sweet, and it literally fits perfectly. So thank you so much. Absolutely. Who people have questions? So newbies out here, where is After Dark? After Dark is on the Noble Patriot group page. That is a private page that only the elite Noble Patriots go. So you got to get over there to the Noble Patriot group page, look it up, follow the website. If you do that, you'll get to that page, okay? Excellent. Wendy Duncan, thank you very much. Shirt, I just saw your comment. Wendy Duncan, thank you for this shirt. This rules. You're awesome. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. Let's dive into some material because we're video laden tonight. It's heavy video and it's going to take some time to get through. So let's bang it out because it was a crazy busy day. By the way, before I jump in really quick, if you have not invested in XRP, I'm telling you right now, it was 22 cents today. And everyone says, well, it went down, I'm losing. Hold it. Welcome to investing. Hold it. I bought more. It's on sale. There are indications it could go as high as $5,000 a coin. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if you get your hands on a handful and it goes from 22 cents up towards the $5,000 a coin at some point, hold on to your seats. That could change your life. All right. Now, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. Okay. It is sliding down right now. Grab it as you can, because guess what? The banks, the government, the treasury behind the scenes, they are signing contracts right now with XRP, Ripple, the platform that it's on. There is no way possible for this thing to tank. Literally, it's on sale right now. I'll be buying all week. I'm not going to tell you how many coins I have, but let me just say, if it goes where it goes, Dr. Dean retired. That's all I can say. And not just retired good, retired damn good. I won't ever retire. The key to purpose in life, the key to morale in life is work, produce something. So I'm not retiring ever, right? I may do something a little different, but I'm still going to produce for people, serve humanity, whether it's through health or humanitarian needs, whatever it is, I will be going on. But I'm holding and it's on sale. Go buy some. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's dive into some information. Now, if you saw last night's episode, and I do realize, by the way, that the audience has grown considerably since my early days of shows, and not everyone understands Dr. Dean's personality. Yes, I'm talking in third person just because it's fun, okay? Not everyone understands the personality, and they don't realize that I'm very hardcore on a couple things like vaccines, like abortion, like ethical and moral code things, right? Stay ethical, stay moral. That's how you keep yourself happy in this world. So they did not like my trans post. They did not like, I actually watched last night when I was discussing the ethics and morals of abortion versus not abortion, being pro-life. I literally saw viewership go down a little bit. People clearly jumping off. And guess what? I don't care. If people can't hang on this page over issues like that, I am sorry. Yes, I am a healthcare practitioner. I'm going to offer you ways to help you get better and get healthier in natural ways. But at the end of the day, I'm also I would say a man of God, man of faith, a man of health care, a pro-life individual who loves children. And it is unacceptable, the culture that we have developed in this country, to allow that to happen to children. So that's why I showed that, because we must focus on our culture as a nation going forward and our culture as a planet going forward. And that includes keeping children safe. That's what that includes. Okay. All right. Speaking of that, the first video is what the president dropped on everybody today after my little chat last night. Here you go.
the blessing of freedom and the dignity of work, and the eternal truth that every child, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God. I will always protect the vital role of religion and prayer in American society, and I will always defend the sacred right to life. Today I am announcing I will be signing the Born Alive Executive Order to ensure all precious babies born alive, no matter their circumstances, receive the medical care that they deserve. This is our sacrosanct moral duty. We are also increasing federal funding for the neonatal research to ensure that every child has the very best chance to thrive and to grow. Family, the freedom and the dignity.
You know, people can bang on him all they want, but you know what's crazy? You know what's amazing about this president? First of all, executive order today, born alive, meaning we will protect the sanctity of all children born. And if they are born alive, there's a problem. They will get the best medical care, the best health care on the face of the planet to make sure they are able to thrive. That was actually today. So that's a good president. That's a good leader. That's someone who cares. That's someone who's doing stuff for the people, for the nation, for the children. All right. Now, I want to show you this kind of clip. This is very different than what I just showed you, but this was sent to me tonight, not too long ago, half hour ago, by a friend of mine, Dr. St. John, Dr. Tina St. John. She's fantastic. I want you to watch this and really understand what is happening behind the scenes right now, what the president is doing, because he's becoming even more transparent right now. So I want to show you what this is. And it's very different, but it's very exciting. Here we go.
From the moment our great president announced that he would run to serve our country, the shadow force has done everything in its power to change what God had set forth. With a government that had covertly been tainted over the years, an outsider was chosen to change the game and begin a movement to remove this disease, give the people back what had been taken from them, and preserve the rights given to us by God. Many men have tried to make this change in the past and were removed in one way or the other. However, this time, the game was known, and this war had been planned long before 2015. With the media well in the pocket of the antagonist and almost every politician either in bed with or extorted by the enemy, our great president still managed not only to win the election, but to fulfill more than just what he had promised the American people. But what most do not realize is what he is accomplishing outside of the public view. This will truly be his greatest achievements and what will change our lives and history in ways that we never realized possible. He will be victorious in a centuries-long war between darkness and light that very few even knew existed. Although many days appear like a total defeat to the American patriot and the patriots around the world, President Trump maintains the confidence of a man that won the war, and that is because he already has. To make it easier to see what's happening, you must first understand how Trump operates, with moves straight out of Sun Tzu's Art of War. Every move the president has made, no matter how random it seems, is calculated to the smallest detail. His methods become more apparent once you understand the strategies, and here are just a few. Before you enter a war, you must first be confident of your abilities, and you must learn your enemy intimately. Being a businessman and not a politician, Trump was able to walk amongst the snakes for decades under the radar, learning their Alinsky-inspired playbooks, the financial systems that they used to indebt and control the population, and observe the many ways that people's money was being used to fund globalist conquest and line the pockets of those conspiring. Trump did this while maintaining the admiration and respect of all, until the day the elite realized he was the lion that was about to devour them. Victorious win first, and then go to war. And Trump had this war won before he even entered the battlefield in 2016. Great leaders have already calculated possible casualties, and have heroes like Seth Rich, Julian Assange, and General Flynn who are willing to lose their battle in order to expose the enemy, their intention, so that we can win the war. Trump has gained his warriors by treating people as his sons and daughters, fulfilling his promises, which is why they will now follow to the deepest valleys behind a leader whose actions far exceeded his words. The one who is always victorious does not win through force and skill, but is one who subdues the enemy without fighting. The ones that are often fooled or forced into physical conflict are not necessarily the enemy. The ones that lead them into conflict are the forces that need to be removed. Like with Saudi Arabia, North Korea, China, and Iran, you show your agitator that they have nothing to gain by attacking you. You will diminish their enthusiasm to do so. You inspire the country's people by reminding them of the power they have over their leaders, by reminding those leaders who really has the power. Next, you build a golden bridge to retreat across by offering them something that will benefit their country while creating a sense of victory for everyone. Yet Trump's greatest attribute is his ability to confuse his enemy so that they cannot fathom his real intent. Strategic deception has been valuable for the president. When you are competent, appear incompetent. Appear weak when you are strong. Be extremely subtle, even to the point of appearing dormant. Always evolve and maintain flexibility, because any man can see a plan made for battle, but no man can determine a plan that never stops evolving. And this allows Trump to be the director of our enemy's fate. It also allows him to seize upon opportunities as they arrive, taking advantage of overconfidence. He has mastered the chessboard and controls all the pieces while brilliantly getting the enemy to slowly defeat themselves, leaving them unsure what to defend or who even to attack. He has roused his opponent into revealing their intentions as to expose its vulnerabilities. One way Trump does this is by creating an illusion of conflict where there may be none. As many of his administration is shuffled or moved around, people assume that he does not know what he's doing. Trump often even exchanges unpleasantries via social media and sound bites with those that were relieved of their duties. He does this with his allies and his enemies. Some of those exchanges have merit, but many others, such as Jeff Sessions, are nothing but kabuki theater, giving the deep state actors an insecurity of who they can trust. This also allows Trump loyalists a shadow to hide behind while they complete other unforeseen tasks. Finally, we come to the strip that most involves us, the Trump supporters, the Patriots, and the digital warriors, and that is targeting the enemies where they are not. Preparing the battlefield for where it's going to be instead of where we are. Everything Trump, the Patriots, and those that have already given their lives in pursuit of bringing dark to light have done will be in vain without the world waking up to the tyranny and the truth and feeling the impact of what has transpired, so generations from now do not let this transpire again. The military planning of the QAnon movement was the battlefield that was being prepared once the war reached this point. The information that has been archived and prepared through threads, videos, podcasts, and blogs reaches new eyes every day, despite the media push to portray us as violent conspirators. However, the number of new eyes fades in comparison to the amounts of viewers that will be searching for truth in this coming year. Many people that were on the fence will support Trump fully. Even those that stand firm in resistance now will be forced to see the truth and will stand by Trump's side in the end. All that will be left in resistance will be those that are guilty and those whose hearts are filled with hate and contempt. When this time comes, those that have spit on us and called us names will finally see the love us deplorables really have for the people. All people. They will see that our fists aren't clenched, but our arms will be open. We will not harp on the past, but we will move forward together, without division, without judgment, without hesitation, but with one common goal: freedom.
So I will post that and get that out to you guys because it's actually an incredible video. And if you have not read The Art of War, I have it on audiobook. I started listening to it. And it's one of those things you have to go over and over and over again because the way it's written is so simple that it's actually a little bit complex. But yeah, I have it on audiobook and I listen to it over and over as I'm driving because I don't listen to the radio. I just listen to the podcasts and things that actually feed my mind versus take it away. But Art of War is literally what the president is doing right now in this country and to the deep state. Now, we always talk about the possibility. Jason Q says it, others say it, etc. I am starting to fall right in line with this theory is we are watching a movie. So we're coming up to the first debate. I think it's the 27th, right? 27th, 29th. I get mixed up in my head. Anyway, like a week away. And randomly, out of nowhere. Hold on. First of all, let me show you this. Let me show you this incredible article because you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know right now with only a month-ish left until the election. Only a month is left. Keep in mind, Patriots, you have watched the rallies. You have watched the rallies for both the president and you've watched the rallies for Vice President Joe Biden. You've watched both sides of the rallies. And just because President Trump has thousands, coming out to watch his rallies. Just so you know, even though that's the case, Joe Biden leads Trump by 10 points nationally in new pair of polls. The Hill is reporting today, this afternoon, yes, Vice President Joe Biden leads President Trump by 10 points nationally. All right? So, what I need you to know is we're going to lose this election. We're down by 10 points heading into it already. We're down. Can you explain to me? Now, this is why this is a show. That's why this is a movie. If you watch Joe Biden have a 10-minute press conference or whatever you want to call it with 6 people randomly spread around him in little white tape circles for social distancing, and then 20,000+ people showing up for President Trump's rallies throughout the week and weekends, you're watching a show. I'm pretty convinced you're watching a show, because there's no way that that's what's occurring. All right, so I just want you to be aware of that. However, they're ramping up. They're ramping up big time, and I want you to know this is also very important. We have very, very important people who are now endorsing publicly Joe Biden. So here's another one.
In announcing your endorsement of Biden, you wrote, quote, "There's only one candidate in this race who stands up for our values as a nation, and that is Joe Biden." So what values are you talking about? Because obviously you're a longtime Republican. I know you disagree with Joe Biden on a number of things. What values does he stand up for that you support?
Well, integrity, character, courage, empathy, and things that make a person a good president. It's been for me, it's been very tragic to watch the year 2020 unfold, for the obvious reasons, but also for the ones that aren't so obvious. And Joe is the one person that, as you know, worked across the aisle with my husband on numerous issues, and did it civilly. There was no discourse or no hatred spewed. He did it civilly, and he did it with the respect of the people involved, and of course respect for our country. And so Joe's the one person I know, because I know him. I've known him for 40 years. I know he's the one that can do this, and that will do it.
Okay, so I need you to know that, hold on a second, come back here, there we go. I need you to know that Joe Biden is a man of ethics and integrity. I can't say it straight. What she just said. Ethics, integrity, values. By the way, for the record, John McCain was also a traitor to the United States of America. No matter how much Cindy and Meghan McCain run their mouths, no matter how much Meghan McCain gets all twisted in her chair on The View, they are not conservative women. They worship the almighty other stuff behind the scenes, and they're simply a part of the cabal. That is it. So, values and integrity. Let's see. What dropped today about, values and integrity. That's right. Hunter Biden received millions from wife of ex-Moscow mayor, paid suspects allegedly tied to trafficking, had contacts with individuals linked to Chinese military, and Senate report alleges. Now, I have a couple things to show you, because this is what dropped today. And I want to take you to directly the person that helped drop this, which was also the person that got suspended off of Twitter today, who is John Solomon. I have said this in past broadcasts. If you would like to follow a journalist of integrity besides OAN, you follow John Solomon, okay? John Solomon. I'm going to show you right now exactly what he stated today.
Becoming president January. So I think it was outside the scope. I agree with you. It's important, and it shows the continued effort by Burisma to use famous Americans to try to buy good publicity for its otherwise corrupt reputation. It is concerning. It should be looked at. It just wasn't in the scope and mandate of this investigation. What was in the scope of this investigation is very seriously disturbing. If you remember a year ago, Democrats told us it was a fantasy. It was a conspiracy theory to think anything went on untoward while Hunter Biden was there or Joe Biden was overseeing Ukraine policy. What do we now know? In fact, by the fact of documents that came from the Obama administration, their witnesses, their files. While Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma, a $7 million bribe was paid to Ukrainian authorities. While Hunter Biden was on the board, State Department officials told Joe Biden he had a conflict of interest by continuing to oversee Ukraine corruption policy when his son's company was under investigation for corruption. The Treasury Department flagged millions of dollars of foreign money flowing into Hunter Biden's accounts from people like not just Burisma, the corrupt Ukrainian gas company, but how about a Russian oligarch who gave him $3.5 million on one day? Chinese officials tied to the Communist Party and the Chinese military. The Treasury Department flagged this, and those you just mentioned the sex trafficking. Those were outbound transactions. So foreign money comes in and then money flows back out of Hunter Biden's account, according to the report, to Russian and Ukrainian women who appear to be connected to some form of sex trafficking, human trafficking. If this were any other figure in American history tied to a vice president, a presidential nominee, or president, we would have a major scandal. But the New York Times and the Washington Post have covered this up. They had no problem covering Neil Bush's Silverado board time when an SNL failed years ago, yet they don't think there's anything wrong with Hunter Biden. They had no problem covering a 20-minute meeting that Don Jr. had with a Russian lawyer, but they don't want to mention that Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from a suspect Russian oligarch. It is willful and disserving blindness that the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN are imposing on the American people today. They are keeping the truth from the American people.
John Solomon is an absolute patriot. I mean, absolute, complete, and utter patriot. Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's 87 pages long. I'm going to go over the key points. All right? And I'm going to show you this. Okay? This was the report that was put out today in regards to what we just talked about, or what we just saw on video. Okay? Here you go. This is the Hunter Biden, Burisma, and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. You'll see, obviously, it's a legitimate legal document. And I'm going to bring you down here to the important part. Instead of reading 87 pages to you, I will come down to key findings. In early 2015, the former acting deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, George Kent, raised concerns to officials in Vice President Joe Biden's office about the perceptions, I don't know if I can highlight this. Here we go. Perception of a conflict of interest with respect to Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board. Kent's concerns went unaddressed, and in September 2016, he emphasized in an email to his colleagues, furthermore, the presence of Hunter Biden on the Burisma board was very awkward for the U.S. officials pushing an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine. In October 2015, senior State Department officials Amos Hochstein raised concerns with Vice President Biden as well as with Hunter Biden that Hunter Biden's position on Burisma's board enabled Russian disinformation efforts and risked undermining U.S. policy in Ukraine. Although Kent believed that Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board was awkward for all U.S. officials pushing an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine, the committees are only aware of two individuals, Kent and former U.S. Special Envoy and Coordinator for International Energy Affairs, Amos Hochstein, I believe I'm saying that correctly, who raised concerns to Vice President Joe Biden or his staff. The awkwardness for Obama administration officials continued well past his presidency. Former Secretary of State John Kerry had knowledge of Hunter Biden's role on Burisma's board, but when asked about it at the town hall event in Nashua, New Hampshire on December 8, 2019, Kerry falsely said, I had no knowledge about any of it. None. No. Evidence to the contrary is detailed in Section 5. Former Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs Victoria Nuland testified that confronting oligarchs would send an anti-corruption message in Ukraine. Kent told the committees that Zlochevsky was an odious oligarch. However, in December 2015, instead of following U.S. objectives of confronting oligarchs, Vice President Biden's staff advised him to avoid commenting on Zlochevsky and recommended he say, I'm not going to get into naming or accusing individuals. Hunter Biden was serving on Burisma's board, supposedly consulting on corporate governance and transparency, when Zlochevsky allegedly paid a $7 million bribe to officials serving under Ukraine's Prosecutor General, Vitaly Yerema, to shut the case against Zlochevsky. Kent testified that this bribe occurred in December 2014, 7 months after Hunter joined Burisma's board, and after learning about it, he had the resident legal advisor reported this allegation to the FBI. Hunter Biden was a U.S. Secret Service protectee from January 29, 2009 to July 8, 2014. A day before his last trip as a protectee, Time published an article describing Burisma's ramped-up lobbying efforts to U.S. officials and Hunter's involvement in Burisma's board. Before ending his protected detail, Hunter Biden received Secret Service protection on trips to multiple foreign locations, including Moscow, Beijing, Doha, Paris, Seoul, Manila, Tokyo, Mexico City, Milan, Florence, Shanghai, Geneva, London, Dublin, Munich, Berlin, Bogota, Abu Dhabi, Nairobi, Hong Kong, Taipei, Buenos Aires, Copenhagen, Johannesburg, Brussels, Madrid, Mumbai, and Lake Como. Can you say like using the taxpayer dime? I mean, come on. Okay. Andrei Telchenko, the Democrats' personification of Russian disinformation, met with Obama administration officials, including Elizabeth Zentos, a member of Obama's National Security Council, at least 10 times. A Democrat lobby firm, Blue Star Strategies, contracted with Telchenko from 2016 to 2017 and continued to request his assistance as recent as the summer of 2019. A recent news article detailed other extensive contacts between Telchenko and Obama administration officials. In addition to the over $4 million paid by Burisma for Hunter Biden and Archer's board membership, Hunter Biden, his family, and Archer received millions of dollars from foreign nationals with questionable backgrounds. Archer received $142,300 from Kengiz Rekeshev of Kazakhstan, purportedly for a car. The same day, Vice President Joe Biden appeared with Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk, I messed that up, and addressed Ukrainian legislators in Kiev regarding Russia's actions in Crimea. Hunter Biden, okay, we're coming to the end. Hunter Biden received $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Buturina, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. Hunter Biden opened a bank account with Gongwen Dong to fund a $100,000 global spending spree with James Biden and Sarah Biden. Hunter Biden had business associates with Yi Jinming, Gongwen Dong, and other Chinese nationals linked to the Communist government and the People's Liberation Army. Those associations resulted in millions of dollars in cash flow. And last but not least, Hunter Biden paid non-resident women who were nationals of Russia or other Eastern European countries and who appear to be linked to an Eastern European prostitution or human trafficking ring. So yes, that was a little bit long. I apologize for that because it was very wordy. But let me just say, everyone wants to know why this isn't going fast enough. Politicians are attorneys, most of them. They know very well how to cover up corruption. They get away with it because they know how to cover it up with legalese. What you can't cover up is you can't cover up human trafficking, which is Disgusting. But you can't cover it up. So, what do we send them for? What do we send them to Gitmo for? What do we nail them for? What does President Trump nail them for? You can nail them for treason, but first, nail them for crimes against humanity. Nail them, hit them hard. Because guess what, folks? They're not getting away with this one. We have them. It is just a matter of time as they play this out, because guess what? They need the public to wake up. They need the public to see, because this is not as deep as it goes. It goes deeper. I will take you into some of that on Noble Patriot After Dark. It goes even deeper. And when I say deeper, I'm not talking about political stuff. I'm talking about far, far deeper. The stuff that will actually make people cringe. All right? I don't say that lightly. I say that to mean something. Now, they're going to try to impeach possibly the president again, because they do not want this happening. So what happens if you try to impeach the president again? Well, this is what happens.
If she tries to move for an impeachment based upon the president following the Constitution, we will take the movement to remove her from speakership.
I will play that again.
If she tries to move for an impeachment based upon the president following the Constitution, we will take the movement to remove her from speakership.
Oh God, would I so love if they did that. Could you imagine if the Speaker of the House decides to go for impeachment? They would go for removing her from her position. How beautiful and genius would that be? Now, moving on, I find it interesting. I had an interesting thought today, and follow me on this interesting thought as we ramp up. And you're going to want to watch the last clip here because it's pretty awesome. And then you're going to want to be on Noble Patriots After Dark if you can handle the information I'll drop. But here you go. You know, the QAnon conspiracy is ramping up on mainstream news, meaning they're talking about it and how horrible the QAnon people are. Well, if the president's in charge, if the president's running the show, is it possible that they have this all under control and they're making a mockery of it on purpose to get people to recognize it? Because the next clip I'm going to show, and I'm not going to show the whole thing, I'm going to show up to a certain point and then I'll finish it. But here is Gail, I think her name is Gail King. It's Oprah's quote-unquote best friend. First of all, when you watch this clip, look how much she looks like hell. She looks terrible. But this is their attempt to discredit the QAnon movement. I take you to this video.
Followers of a fast-growing conspiracy group called QAnon could have a significant influence in the upcoming election. QAnon first surfaced back in 2017. Now it maintains that President Trump is leading a war against liberal elites who, according to QAnon, are running a global sex trafficking network, including some very famous people. Now, there is zero evidence, that any of this is true. Tonight's episode of 60 in 6 takes an inside look at QAnon. 60 in 6 features 60-minute style storytelling in episodes that last around 6 minutes or so. It airs on the streaming app Quibi, is produced by CBS News, which is part of a Viacom CBS, an investor in Quibi. 60 and 60 correspondent and founder of Media, Media, that's Lori Siegel, spoke with leaders of the movement.
Dustin Nemos is a part of the QAnon community, and it's also how he makes a living.
This is Dustin Nemos of the Nemos News Network.
Nemos posts on his YouTube channel times a week, sometimes several times a day.
Should we talk a little bit about COVID
and considers himself a seeker of truth in a fake news world.
COVID is the biggest lie fake news has ever told.
How can you say that when you look at the numbers?
Well, I don't trust the numbers, first of all. In New York, they supposedly had #warzone hospitals. I had friends and audience members going out there with their cell phones saying it's a ghost town. No one's here.
You're talking to someone who is in New York. You're talking to a crew of folks who experienced a lot of this firsthand.
Well, why were the hospitals empty when these people went there?
You saw it on YouTube. We saw it in real life.
We saw it from you. We heard your version. No offense. We don't trust you guys.
As someone who was in New York City in the height of COVID,
Yes.
who had friends in the hospital, I can tell you it just as simply isn't true.
We had whistleblower nurses who went into this and exposed what was happening. Hospitals were actually monetized and incentivized to lie about COVID patients.
What evidence do you have besides online speculation?
There's months now of documented evidence for this.
What kind?
Various articles. The Gateway Pundit, Zero Hedge has put out many of them.
What kind of article?
Nemos News Network, if you want to go search.
That's your network.
Absolutely. I've been covering this since the beginning, so I've covered every bit of it.
You know, more than 200,000 Americans have died since the pandemic. I know CBS has been reporting on these deaths and has knowledge firsthand.
Okay, I'm going to save you from that because the rest of it is her talking to Gail, and I was going to take you deeper, but she annoys me. I can't really listen to her because she is a complete liar. And then it's literally just the next 4 minutes of them bashing Dustin. And if you've never seen Dustin, look up Dustin Nemos. Very brave dude, really smart. He knows his stuff. You can see if you go to YouTube and put in his name, you'll find it. And basically, she is being completely and totally insane. All right, just so you know, that's what she's doing. They are trying to discredit, but maybe they're actually just exposing it to the public, and that's what they're actually doing. So keep an eye on that. Now, I don't have a lot of information tonight on why the president decided to take an emergency phone call during the presser tonight. I actually didn't watch the press conference tonight. I was actually busy doing some other stuff, and then I saw that it popped up. I saw him walk away while they were yelling at him. I will show you this clip if you haven't seen this, just to show you, but I know very little about it. Obviously, I'll look into it and see what goes on, and we'll find out what that emergency phone call was. It might have been the National Guard in Louisville dealing with that situation down there, because that is going to get out of control. But this was the ending scene today at the presser when the president said, hey, he's got to go. And watch your audio here, because the lady, there's no way of controlling it. This lady is screaming at him to ask a question. And so she gets a little bit hot-tempered, a little high voice. But here you go.
Why would we be delaying it? But we're going to look at it. We're going to take a look at it. And ultimately, the White House has to approve it. And maybe we will and maybe we won't, but we'll be taking a look. I have to leave for an emergency phone call. I'm going to let Scott and Larry finish that. Larry's going to talk about it. So I'll be back. I will see you tomorrow.
Mr. President, and just one more question on Breonna Taylor. We're at a time right now where Americans feel like we are on this carousel. Mr. President, just one more question if I can on Breonna Taylor. People are protesting in the streets. What is your message to them? People feel like we are on this carousel.
So that was his quick rush out. I don't know what it was. It could have been. I'm assuming it's something Louisville. Is it staged and set up? Very possible. I do not know. It could be. Maybe it's something bigger. I know that some major booms are coming. I know we've already hit some major booms. But very interesting how that played out. So on top of that, before I dive into this final clip of tonight's show here, and by the way, I will take a couple questions from this viewership tonight after we're done here, and then I will do more questions, specifically mostly health related and things like that, and the Noble Patriot group, and I'll answer the best I can over there. Okay, so a couple tonight and then a couple of this clip's a little longer, but I want to show you the entire clip. First of all, prayers, thoughts out to Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, I believe, I did not hear the whole thing, but I believe he has a tumor in his neck, it sounds like. They do not know if it's benign or if it's cancerous. So do me a favor. Dan Bongino is an absolute patriot. And everybody think for him, pray for him, because he is literally a warrior in this whole thing. And hopefully everything turns out perfectly fine. I know he has a family and he kicks butt. So keep an eye on that. And we'll go from there. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you this entire clip tonight because I want to show you how much of an idiot Dr. Fauci is and how clueless he is as he's speaking to another doctor, Dr. Rand Paul. And I want you to watch this because this literally is the insanity of how the pharmacological religion of science handles people that actually understand real science. Your doctors out there actually know science. Yes, Fauci's a doctor, but he's not. He's a lab doctor. That's what Fauci is. Fauci has gotten paid from the very beginning of his career to run studies for profit versus actually take care of people in a clinical setting. I don't think Dr. Fauci has ever seen a patient in a clinical setting. I could be wrong, but he is not. He has always been designed as an academic. You have people like myself, Rand Paul, Ron Paul, people from the medical community, the natural health community, who are actually physicians, who actually see people clinically every single day. All right, here we go. I want to show you this. All right.
Initially, government officials were honest enough to admit that the goal of mitigation efforts, aka lockdown, was to flatten the curve. But the area under the curve, the total deaths from the virus, would likely be the same. In other words, the lockdown was to mitigate the spike in viral deaths so our hospitals would not be overwhelmed, but the same amount of people would likely die with or without the lockdown. The media, and frankly government officials, seem to have forgotten this important caveat. Flattening the curve morphed into a belief that we could change the course of the pandemic with an economic lockdown. This is unfortunate and has led to the protracted lockdown recession we are currently mired in. It's important that we examine the data, learn from the data, and try to avoid the man-made aspect of this calamity in the future. To those who argue that the lockdown flattened the curve in New York and New Jersey, the evidence argues otherwise. New York and New Jersey wound up with the sharpest spike or highest death rate in the world at over 1,700 deaths per million. In contrast, Sweden had a relatively softer touch. Few mandates and mostly voluntary guidelines. Sweden's death rate ended up about a third that of New York and New Jersey. Some might argue that Sweden and New York and New Jersey are different populations, perhaps, but even the average death rate for the U.S. is now greater than Sweden. In fact, the U.S. death rate is quite comparable to less developed parts of the world where social distancing is virtually impossible, such as Brazil, Bolivia, and Ecuador. Which brings us to an important question. Is man really capable of altering the course of an infectious disease through crowd control? The statistics argue a resounding no. The evidence argues that mitigation efforts have failed to flatten the curve, that most countries, regardless of public health policy, suffered a significant spike in deaths and then a gradual decline. Now, some will argue, what about Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, each which have had extraordinarily low death rates? Hong Kong, Taiwan, and South Korea certainly enforce stricter quarantine and contact tracing rules than the U.S., but Japan's rules were largely voluntary since their prime minister lacks the legal powers to enforce a lockdown. One explanation for the low death rate in much of Asia is that the population may have a higher degree of exposure to coronavirus colds, and therefore have more pre-existing cross-reactive immunity. If scientists were interested, there is a fascinating field of inquiry looking at susceptibility to COVID-19 and assessment of whether people or not have pre-existing immunity to similar coronaviruses. In fact, pre-existing cross-reactive immunity to coronavirus may explain why we have so many people that have very little symptoms or asymptomatic. While there's still many things we need to learn about this pandemic, it's important that we, the people, not simply acquiesce to authoritarian mandates on our behavior without first making the nanny state prove their hypothesis. As for now, what we do know is that New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and Rhode Island still allowed the highest death rates in the world. We also know that Sweden, who enforced few mandates, ended up with a death rate 1/3 of New York and New Jersey. We also know that the overall death rate for the U.S. now is essentially equivalent to that of South America, where social distancing and mitigation efforts are virtually impossible. Dr. Fauci, today you said you are not for economic lockdown, yet your mitigation recommendations from dating to baseball to restaurants to movie theaters have led to this economic lockdown. Do you have any second thoughts about your mitigation recommendations, considering the evidence that despite all of the things we've done in the U.S., our death rate is essentially worse than Sweden, equivalent to the less developed world that is unable to do any of the things that you've been promoting? Do you have any second thoughts? Are you willing to look at the data that countries that did very little actually have a lower death rate than the United States?
You know, Senator, I'd be happy at a different time to sit down and go over detail. You've said a lot of different things. You've compared us to Sweden, and there are a lot of differences. And you said, well, you know, there are a lot of differences between Sweden, but compare Sweden's death rate to other comparable Scandinavian countries. It's worse. So I don't think it's appropriate to compare Sweden with us. Yes, we have, I think in the beginning, we've done things based on the knowledge we had at the time. And hopefully, and I am, and my colleagues are humble enough and modest enough to realize that as new data comes, you make different recommendations. But I don't regret saying that the only way we could have really stopped the explosion of infection was by essentially, I want to say shutting down, I mean essentially having the physical separation and the kinds of recommendations that we've made.
But you've been a big fan of Cuomo and the shutdown in New York. Okay. You've lauded New York for their policy. New York had the highest death rate in the world. How could we possibly be jumping up and down and saying, oh, Governor Cuomo did a great job? He had the worst death rate in the world.
No, you misconstrued that, Senator, and you've done that repetitively in the past. They got hit very badly. They've made some mistakes. Right now, if you look at what's going on right now, the things that are going on in New York to get their test positivity 1% or less is because they are looking at the guidelines that we have put together from the task force of the 4 or 5 things of masks, social distancing, outdoors more than indoors, avoiding crowds, and washing hands.
Or they've developed enough community immunity that they're no longer having the pandemic because they have enough immunity in New York City to actually stop.
I challenge that, Senator, because I want, please, sir, I would like to be able to do this because this happens with Senator Rand all the time. You were not listening to what the director of the CDC said, that in New York, it's about 22%. If you believe 22% is herd immunity, I believe you're alone in that.
Okay. So it went a little farther than that. Let me get myself back here. It went a little bit farther than that. But so what actually happened was, if you look at how Fauci reacted to that, Fauci, by the way, now he was okay with the whole Sweden example, everything else. However, he was not okay when Rand brought up natural herd immunity. He panicked. He had panic all over his eyes. Why did he have panic all over his eyes? Because he's got the patent on the vaccine through Moderna. Fauci only wins if they pick and choose what he makes money on, okay? Now, this is my opinion on Fauci. One of 3 things. Either he's a complete moron, which is very possible, or he's playing for Trump and he is helping expose the train wreck that this whole thing is, which is possible. Or, and I kind of am starting to go into third, is he is totally just MK Ultra mind programmed. Meaning he doesn't even know what he's actually saying. He is so bought and invested into this situation that I don't even think he knows which side is up. That is the big problem, okay? Very, very big problem. Now, I just wanted to show you that because obviously Rand brought up herd immunity. He brought up Sweden. He brought up actual valid information, because that's what doctors do. They talk about real things, right? They talk about how it actually applies. Dr. Fauci is part of the cabal that runs the pharmaceutical, religious, scientific deep state, or whatever you want to call it, the medical complex. They do not care about healthcare. They solely care about selling products to poison and taint human beings. That's it. That's what they do. Welcome to the medical industrial complex. All right. I'm going to take a couple questions. Let's do 3 questions tonight. And then we are going over to the Noble Patriots After Dark. And you can't wait until you see what I have to show you, okay? All right, fantastic. What are the 3 questions? I have 3 questions. The first 3 questions, well, not the first 3 questions I see because sometimes I miss stuff. I'm going to pick 3 great questions. We're going to go over those. And then we go over to the group, Noble Patriots After Dark. Excellent. Here we go. Rock and roll. Let's see. How long does it take to get approved by Noble Patriot Group? It should be fast. Dominic is all over it right now. Don't worry. That's not a question. I won't use that as a question. Let's see. What time is after dark? It's usually within a few minutes after I leave here and go to the next page. Okay. You'll find it. All right. Let's see. Deep state. Blah, blah, blah. Where do you buy your XRP Ripple coin? I buy it on Coinbase. Makes it easiest. Coinbase and then get a ledger. I cannot explain to you how to do a ledger. Buy the ledger, and then let the website of the company take you through the ledger because it's a process. You have to actually do it, and I can't give you some of the codes for it, okay? You have to do it on your own. But yes, you do need a ledger. You can buy them as little as like $50. Do not buy ledgers off of random people or Amazon. Go right to the company and buy them. There is no XRP link. Coinbase.com. You can go back to my old videos. Maybe I'll do it again, but I've shown you how to log in and do this, okay? Let's see. How do I feel about XLM? It's good. Stellar Lumens is also very good. Cardano is also very good, but XRP is probably going to be the one that takes off the most. Let's see. If you buy gold and you want to sell it, you sell it back to the person you bought it from or go to a coin dealer. Is copper good? Yeah, copper's good, but it's not gonna be what everyone else, what gold and silver are, but yes, it is good. I have interviewed Cyrus Parsa. Go on my website, go on my YouTube, it's there. I have interviewed Cyrus Parsa, yes. Coinbase is super easy to use. Okay? Very easy. Yes, good job, Jody. The ledger, the first time through, the first couple times to do is very, very daunting and scary, but then as you get doing it, it's super easy, okay? Okay, good. A couple trolls, that's always cool. Thank you. Do you think there'll be an election? I don't know. I'm assuming there will be, but at this point, I think Trump's going to be running against nobody. All right, guys. Last one. Where is Noble Patriots After Dark? It's on the Noble Patriot group page. You got to join up for the group page. Okay, someone is saying something about Flare and XRP. I am not signing up for Flare yet. I will wait until it goes mass because anybody who knows about the Flare stuff, I am not taking the risk of losing my XRP to something until it is a mass audience. I have XRP. I want it to be redeemed if I do for the proper amount, and random websites do not impress me. I want official stuff, okay? So there you go. Anybody have a question on that? I want to make sure that is out there, okay? Two Sons, we'll talk about that stuff with Jason Q on Friday night, guys. I'm headed on to the After Dark where I'm going to show you something. I'm going to tell you again. When you go onto the page and I show you this, okay, you cannot be squeamish. You cannot panic. You cannot freak out. It is what it is. You have to be willing to have a stomach on this one. This is the real galactic / deep state spiritual war, and this is what's really going on behind the scenes. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network. I will see you on After Dark. By the way, go and serve and help somebody tomorrow, as always. Bye-bye.